Welcome, global family, to the Uplift Pulse. My name is Chris Decker, and I'll be your host for today. And for those of you who are joining for the first time from somewhere in the world, the Uplift Pulse is our monthly gathering where we deepen the conversation as a global community. And rather than presenting something to you with presenters and thought leaders, we're actually opening up the conversation with our global family so you can actually ask questions in real time, so we can have a spontaneous and emergent conversation and go a little bit deeper. So if you feel inspired, please send us a question on the Facebook or the YouTube chats, or if you're in our Zoom conference, we would love to, you to even join live, and we can feature you live here and you can ask the question in real time to our guest today. So I'd like to introduce our guest for today. And if our guests can, yes. I'd like to introduce, first off, Kristen Hoffman from the USA. Hello, Kristen, welcome.
So nice to be here. It's always an honor.
Kristen is a Juilliard-trained singer and artist, and her mission is to create healing messages for the world through the vehicles of song, sound, and powerful storytelling. She's a true artist. Welcome, Kristen. Next, I'd like to introduce a dear friend, Dashima Gordon from Bali, Indonesia. Dashima, so wonderful to have you here. How's Bali today?
Oh, it's beautiful as ever. Thank you. I'm so happy to be here.
Dashima is a creative dynamo. Honestly, she's amazing. She's an author, speaker, teacher, event producer, and entrepreneur who has dedicated her life to uplifting humanity and spreading happiness for all beings. She's so into happiness as her purpose that she's even been inducted into the Stanford Happiness Hall of Fame in 2019. Great to have you here, Dashima.
Nice to be here. Thank you.
And next we have Scarlett Lewis from the USA. Hi, Scarlett. Welcome.
Thank you, Chris.
Scarlett is the founder of the Jesse Lewis Choose Love Foundation, which is a charity she started after her son Jesse was shot and killed in the Sandy Hook school massacre in 2012. It's an incredible organization that provides programs and tools to people around the world to create a safe and loving world. Scarlett, it's an honor to have you here again with us on the Pulse.
Thank you so much, Chris. It's an honor to be here.
Mm. And next, we have another dear friend, John Linton from the USA. John's joining us for the first time with the Uplift Pulse. John is an artist and photographer who founded the project Let's Be Better Humans. It's truly an amazing, phenomenal project where he takes his very colorful school bus around the country to deliver food, water, and clothing to the homeless people. Great project. Thank you, John, for joining us today.
It's truly an honor to be here, Chris. Thank you. Humbled by the participation.
So today's topic is building resilience in a chaotic world. And it's definitely, very relevant topic for our time. As we all know, we've been riding this radical roller coaster with COVID, with political upheavals. We have climate change on our doorstep. We have so much going on. And resilience is a topic and a word that's come up a lot in the field at the moment. And I'd like to start by actually asking the question, because I've been asking a few people how they feel about resilience, or what's the word mean to them. And funnily enough, I found out that people have a different interpretation of the word resilience. So I'd like to go around and ask each of you here today to just share a little bit about your feeling of what resilience is to you. We'll start with Kristen.
Okay. To me, resilience is all about being able to lift myself back up and rediscover that spark of life within myself when I've just gone through a dark night of the soul or been challenged in a deep way. I mean, I think, of course, each and every one of us will be challenged multiple times in our lifetime, whether it be a larger challenge like making it through a pandemic and helping yourself survive, and then the resilience in that is surviving and thriving. And where do you go to that place within where you can find that spark? So to me, it's just that ability to walk through the storm and find that inner light that will guide you no matter what it is that you're facing.
Thank you, Kristen. Dashma, what would you like to share on the word resilience?
Well, there was a quote that comes to mind, and it was, I think it might have been Warren Buffett or somebody, a billionaire, and he said that the number one quality required for creating a life of success, it doesn't matter where you came from, it's the quality of resilience, the ability to rise up out of anything and continue to keep moving forward and upward. And that's what it is to me, whatever you've been through, we've all been through difficult times, and those are the tests of the soul. And so as we face it head on and we decide to rise out of that, like the phoenix rising out of the ashes, we become stronger and we become more determined through our challenges and the circumstances that present themselves in our lives. So then that resilience actually builds a muscle deep within, and a conviction and a determination to rise up and to succeed, or whatever the endeavor. And so I feel that it's probably one of the most important qualities that we can strengthen within ourselves as individuals and as a humanity at large.
Thank you, Dashma. Scarlett, would you like to share?
Well, I'm just going to be building a little bit on what Kristen and Dashma have already shared, because their answers were beautiful. But I believe that resilience, and we all as human beings obviously face difficulty, trial, roadblocks, even pain and suffering as human beings. We're all going to face that. And resilience is the courage to face those things instead of resisting and avoiding or even numbing ourselves, but the courage to face those things, and then the strength to grow through them, because ultimately that's how we're shaped and molded as human beings. It's through the difficulties that we all face. And it is not really what happens to us as human beings, because something is going to happen to you. Something's already happened to you, and something most likely will happen to you in the future. But it is how you thoughtfully respond to what happens to you. And that is how you grow.
Thank you, Scarlett. John.
Oh boy, first of all, I can't imagine the resilience that Scarlett's had to find and exemplify and walk through in her life. And I'm not really sure what I could add that hasn't already been suggested, but it's about adversity and it's about trauma. All these things happen in life. It's accepting, life on life's terms. That's something that I've experienced personally in my 56 years of navigating and negotiating this thing that we call life. But it's really about how we move forward, and life happens, and it's our ability to find that inner resolve when trauma and stress arrives, and it happens, and it's about picking ourselves up and simply moving forward, in my view.
Thank you. Thank you, John. Look, yeah, it's a great topic. I've been thinking about resilience, because from the Latin word, which means to bounce back, it's like to spring back, if you like. And then, like, how do we spring back? Like, what does it really take? Because as Dashma was saying, it's a muscle. Muscles take time and training, and there's so much going on now. And which brings me to my first question from Diana from New York. Hi, Diana, if you're out there. Thanks for sending it in. She says, building inner strength and resilience is a process over time. How do we even begin to build resilience when the world feels like it's falling apart so quickly? Scarlett, would Would you like to share?
Sure. Thank you for that question. It's a great question, and one that I'm sure many are asking themselves, especially now. I think that it's very important when things are going on around us. We have to remember we a lot of times use stress and anxiety synonymously, but stress is usually an external event over which we have no control, and anxiety is our response to that. Um, I think the most important thing, the first thing to do is coming into the present moment. And, we tend to catastrophize in our mind we have a negative bias. It keeps us safe. The majority of our thoughts are negative and repetitive. And then you have this going on outside that it really is negative. That's how you're viewing it anyway. And so it's very helpful to come to the present moment. That's where life is really happening. And even amidst the pandemic and everything that's going on outside, if I bring myself to the present moment, right here and right now, I'm safe and I'm well. And it gives my mind and my heart and my body a break. And then I think the second most important thing is to have a healthy connection with others, at least one other. I think a lot of the suffering that we have on this planet comes from lack of connection, lack of understanding how to have connections. Connection is love, and that's how we're all connected throughout the world, is the want and need to love and be loved. We're the exact same as human beings in that. And so I would say that would be the way to start, is to come to the present moment and then make sure that you have that healthy connection.
I love that. Come to the present moment. But what do you say? How does someone even who's never really understood what the present moment is, who's always living in the future, like most of society, and everything's falling around so quickly around them? How do you come back to the present moment in that for that person? How would you suggest that?
Well, I have to help myself too sometimes, because 3/4 of our lives are lived in the past and thinking about what happened to us and ruminating over it, or in the future, fearing or planning for the future. Very little of our time is lived in the present moment where life is happening right now. And I know that because I really practiced being in the present moment a lot with my boys, my two sons, before my younger son was murdered. And so I practiced this a lot, and it's easier than you think. Literally, it's taking a breath, taking a pause, taking a breath, feeling the temperature of the breath coming in and out of your nose and the difference of that temperature. It's rubbing your fingertips together so that you feel the ridges in your finger and focusing on that feeling. It's just sitting for a moment and counting your toes. I mean, it may sound a little nuts, but that is the way to bring yourself to the present moment. And that's where life is happening. And generally, you're okay in the present moment. And you have people around you that are really wanting your attention, and you're okay.
Thank you, Scarlett. Dashma, would you like to share on that question from Diana?
How to be present, or how you mean?
Well, no, the question of like, how do we even begin to build resilience when the world feels like it's falling apart so quickly? I mean, you beautifully said in the opening there that it's building a muscle, but if you building a muscle, which Diana was saying, it takes time to strengthen the muscle. But if things are falling down so fast, but it feels like it's doing right now in the world, how do you even start? What's the process of even going into resilience? Because resilience needs some sort of building towards it. So yeah, that's the question. I think it's a great question. So I'd love to hear what you have to share.
Thank you. I love this question as well. I've been through many hard times. I watched my mother die in front of me even. I've seen the worst things in this life. And I feel that to bounce back, because when you're really knocked off your chair, off the horse, however you want to look at it, you get knocked down and you can feel like you're at the bottom. And one of my favorite quotes is by Les Brown. And he says, if you can look up, you can get up. And it's this understanding that to look outside of whatever you're going through in this moment and to recognize that from an external perspective on a universal level, it's all happening for you and not to you. There are no victims here. So that's the first thing, is like reclaiming your power so that you're not feeling that this is all happening to you, because that victim energy is really defeating and deflating and depressing. And it brings you on a downward spiral when you feel like you don't have any control over your life. And we may not have any control over what's happening outside of us, whether it's a pandemic lockdown or a climate crisis or what's happening. But we do have control over how we feel about it, our response to that. So to build the strength and the muscle of resilience is every time we find ourselves going into those defeating thoughts, whether it's why, or like anxiety, stress, depression, or even being triggered into anger, all of the lower emotions that bring us into a very bad feeling place, when we recognize that, that's when we use what Scarlett was observing is these present moment practices, right? Bring yourself to the moment and then really look at your life and say, is it really bad? Is it really as bad as my mind is making it out to be? So really look at it from an external perspective, as if you were above the situation, looking down and say, okay, how does it really look? And then what's in this for me? How can I learn from this? What is this teaching me? This is one of the best questions. I feel like to build resilience, it's really a process of getting better at asking better questions to yourself and to life, right? And one of my keys to resilience is also connecting to a higher power, like whether you call it the universe, God, or the source, whatever the name, just connecting to that energy and recognizing you are never alone. And so one of my favorite, if you want to imagine, one of my favorite quotes was from Oprah one time, and people had asked her, she's always the only Black woman in a whole maybe boardroom full of all these white males, and how does she deal with that? It must feel intimidating and things. And she said, I am never sitting alone. Whenever I'm sitting, wherever I am, I always see all my ancestors behind me, and they're with me right here and right now. So really like calling in the angels, calling in the ancestors, calling in your support, whatever that looks like to you, recognizing you're never alone. So that strength you can cultivate from this imagining of like that you're not alone, first of all, because a lot of times we feel weaker because it's like, oh, I'm all alone and I don't have the support, or I don't know what to do, and you feel helpless. And that feeling of helplessness is very defeating as well. So it's like, okay, I do have support. First of all, in the invisible realm, I have God with me all the time. So I have that for sure. And then on top of that, I have my ancestors, thousands, millions of people, all with me all the time. I have all the angels all with me all the time. And then in the physical world, you have your family, you have your friends, hopefully at least a few people that that you can call, that you can count on, that are with you and that will help you and that really do care and want your best all the time. So then once you really feel that strength of, okay, I have support, because that's one of the keys, is like when you feel taken down by life, it can feel like I don't have any support. I don't have anything, right? I have nothing. And so then it becomes that downward spiral. And instead, really recognizing all that support and starting to build this strength from within. Like, yes, okay, now what is my purpose of being here? Why am I even alive? And then tapping into that question and going into that. If you know your purpose of life, that is infinitely empowering, because then you realize I chose to come here. I have a purpose, and whatever it is that's being presented to me in this moment is actually being presented so that I could strengthen and evolve as a soul and as a being in this world to be a greater light for humanity or for my community or for my family or whoever I'm here to serve? And so it's these questions that we ask ourselves, and then the responses that we get from our intuition and from our inner guidance when we ask those questions, learning to listen deeply to your inner self, in your higher self, in your guidance, and literally like feeling that inside, feeling that purpose, feeling that it's all happening for you and not to you. And then just choosing another approach to how you're going to live your life in this moment. So if you feel like, oh my God, I'm depressed and life is knocking me down and nothing's going right, the first key is flip the switch. Okay, what is going right? Start looking at the gratitude. When I was speaking at the United Nations for International Day of Happiness, we did this 22-minute meditation, and it's literally the simplest meditation, and I can give it to you now. It's literally just repeating the word thank you over and over with a smile on your face for 22 minutes. And then as you're saying thank you, literally thinking of every single thing in your life that you have to be thankful for. Thank you to my home. Thank you to my family. Thank you to my body. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this life. Thank you for my community. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And the ripple goes out infinitely until it's just thank you for everything. Energy starts to be cultivated from within. And if you can flip that switch on a daily basis and continuously dive into the ocean of gratitude for life, and then that starts to build that muscle, because gratitude creates like such an emergence of passion and joy and appreciation for life. And so that your life starts to feel meaningful and starts to feel so full and overflowing. And then, that's building that muscle, because the muscle of resilience is truly a strength within. And we build that strength with practices of, appreciating life and seeing that it's all in divine order and seeing that it's happening for us and taking our power back and recognizing our purpose and why we chose to come here. And so that journey is the building of the muscle of resilience.
Beautiful sharing. Thank you, Dashma. I love that quote you just said, dive into the ocean of gratitude. Because I find that when I'm in a deeply state of thanks, state of gratitude, it's like the key that opens the heart. And the more the heart is open, the more you can build these steps to resilience. So thank you for sharing. John, what would you like to share on that question from Diana? Great question. It's stimulated a lot so far.
Yes, most assuredly has. I think Dashma, she touched on something that, for me, and that word gratitude, that's where I find a lot of resilience personally. So I can't speak for others, but I can only speak, in my personal experience, what moves me. And usually when something, I can share, a personal happening just from, last evening. So I'm in the middle right now of a 90-day art show where you're required to work every day for 90 days. And I'm somewhere in the middle of maybe 45-ish. So I'm not sure what day of the week is. Some days it doesn't even, I'm not even sure what month it is. And you can sit around with 100 other artists in a tent and you watch art move out, and maybe your art's sitting, and this may sound like mad ramblings at the moment, but my thoughts are a little incoherent from so many days of working in a row. And my point is that it's easy to kind of get caught in these pity parties that we throw for ourselves and wondering, why this is happening to me and why this doesn't happen to them, or some variation of that. And usually for me, again, when I'm giving this some, real heavy consideration, is when I'm thinking about myself, I'm usually, I'm not very good. I don't show up very good in the world. And, there's a quote when we're speaking about quotes, it's one that resonates with me and at a very high level. And it's a quote by Gandhi, and his quote is, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And in the midst of an art show, and right now we're in the middle of a pandemic, and this art happening that I participate in, it represents 75% of my yearly income, and right now it's a bit stressful. So the resilience that I found last night in trying to exercise some of that was to step back into that quote that resonates with me, that Gandhi lived. And so I went out on my bus last night, tired, exhausted, and decided to buy hamburgers and water and deliver a meal to people that were out on the street here in Phoenix, Arizona, that are hungry and are empty. And I don't know who on the panel mentioned this, but that word connection. I think Scarlett mentioned it. The people that I go out and help, or try to help to the best of my humble ability, these are people that have been completely disconnected from society and ultimately from themselves. And yet, I find a lot of lessons out on the street serving those that are marginalized. And I'm forever amazed at the resilience that someone that's living in a tent or in a sleeping bag or lying on a piece of cardboard on the street or the sidewalk, how they actually function and where they find the strength to get up and face the day, when one day feels like the next, almost a living nightmare. And when you hand a meal to somebody that hasn't eaten for the day, suddenly your problems about why a piece of art didn't sell, or why somebody walked by your booth and didn't pay your work any attention and fell in love with somebody's next to yours, like those things don't matter. And I've also noticed whenever life hits me in the chin, my first response is isolation. And through the years, I've gotten just a little bit better at moving past isolation. I think we all experience it. I don't know. But for me, that means I just want to crawl up in a ball and hide from the world, or my phone will ring and I don't want to take a call, or my mom will text me and I just don't feel like responding. And, in earlier years, those moments of isolation might have lasted for, oh gosh, days on end. And now I recognize, oh, that's what that is. And how do I move away from that? And it's about what we spoke, or someone spoke to earlier. And it's about then instantly recognizing, okay, let's get back in the present. And then for me, it's about flexing that muscle of service to others and finding gratitude and perspective that my problems are very small against those that are of much bigger magnitude. At day's end, I have somewhere to go and take a shower. I have a refrigerator that's full of food. I have a soft bed at the end of the day. So I think that's what I'd like to offer. And I don't know that answers anyone's question, but it's something that's on my mind at present. So.
Thank you, John. No, definitely answered the question. I think the word you use, service, I think is a big one, being in service to others. I think true resilience is not just looking after yourself, of course, but to looking after others and being in service and building a community that is resilient, that can then, make you more resilient. Wow, great. Thank you so much. Kristen.
Hmm. Well, thank you so much, John. I feel like that sharing was so passionate and just went right to the heart. I feel you around service. Every time I'm feeling down or like I've just been going through difficult times, whenever I start to just give or do something for others or connect with others, immediately it just lifts your energy up. But I'm being reminded also about this dream that I had a long time ago. It was so visceral. It was as if it was just completely real. And in the dream, I actually died. And when I woke up, I knew that I was in this world in between life and death. And I was in a very dim lit room lying on a couch. And there was light coming through these window panes. And a woman opened a door and walked in. And I could tell she was from that realm. Like she was working there. And she came and sat down on the couch where I was lying. And she placed my head on her lap. She just started stroking my head. She was just bringing me so much calm and making me feel like, oh, it's all going to be okay. She didn't say anything for a while. And all of a sudden, I heard her say, "It's the little things that make a difference. It's the little things that make a difference." And she just kept repeating this mantra. And for me, this message, it's the little things that make a difference, is so important to resilience. Just breaking it down to the simple moments, celebrating the simple moments. Whether you go outside and you get to take a beautiful, clean breath of air and you see the sun just come through a tree. How beautiful. I feel resilience in that moment. I've been playing a game with myself over about the past month because I noticed my energy was just feeling a little sad and tired after this whole year. And I said, what's something that I do every day? What's a simple thing that I do every single day? Pretty near to where I wake up. And I said, okay, one thing I do is I always go in right after I wake up and I put the tea kettle on every single day. And so I started playing this simple game with the tea kettle, where every single moment now where I go to take that tea kettle and put it on, I notice where I am. If I feel down, I say, oh, I'm so grateful to be alive. Look, I'm alive another day. And I also kind of zoom out and notice myself putting the tea kettle on, and I kind of have that groundhog moment, and I chuckle thinking, here we are again, putting the tea kettle on. And so it becomes this little mix of a joke with my kind of higher self. Here we are. And just a deep appreciation. Oh, I get to put this tea kettle on another day. And same as that feeling of getting to do that. Oh, I get to do other things today. And so that's been my little resilience practice. And I have to say, every day I'm getting so much joy, and it sets the tone for the day. So just a suggestion, pick something that you do every day, a simple moment where you're going to show your appreciation for your life, show your gratitude, tune into where you are, and just realize, you know what? I'm perfect just the way I am in this moment. Everything is okay. And just as I'm able to handle this moment, I will be able to handle any moment that comes my way. And when I look back through my life, no matter how hard it's ever gotten, I have showed up to those moments too, and I'm here. So I think start simple. Start simple. It's the little things that make a difference. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. That is so beautiful. We're going to move on to another question from Shantu Watt from Austria. Just sent this in. Hi, Shantu. Hope you're well. Thanks for joining today. So Shantu says, one gets an awareness through accepting and understanding one's vulnerability. Do you think that resilience may mean loss of such a frail quality, and being resilient may incur an inflexibility, so one doesn't bend with the flow or the rhythm, so to speak? Interesting question. She's feeling that resilience can create a hardness. Scarlett, what would you like to say on that one?
I have to think about my own experience. And I think that rather than being hard, it made me show up and be my authentic self in the moment. It actually made me be present and rise to the occasion and be the best version of myself. I feel like that's what resilience did. And everybody was sharing such beautiful sharing.
Mm.
Wow, such incredible sharing on resilience. And it made me want to share my formula.
Scarlett, before you share your formula, maybe you can share a little bit of your story, so those who have joined for the first time and getting to know you for the first time
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, it was 8 years ago now that my 6-year-old son was murdered in his first grade classroom alongside 19 of his first grade classmates and 6 educators in one of the worst mass murders in US history. And of course, the rug was pulled out from underneath me then and my entire family. And the story about Jesse is that he held his ground. He stood up to the shooter, and his brave actions actually saved 9 of his classmates' lives before losing his own. And so when I found that out, of course, I had that example of courage to utilize. He was 6 years old, and he was so brave in the moment. And I realized that we all have that capacity for courage. Um, he was a 6-year-old boy. I have that capacity. You have that capacity. And then in doing a little bit of research afterwards, I found that courage, like science tells us that courage is literally like a muscle. So we can practice courage and we can strengthen it. And we absolutely need to call on courage in order to face difficulty rather than doing what a lot of us may want to do, which is resist and avoid it or even numb ourselves from it. But it takes a lot of courage to stand up and face whatever is happening by coming to the present moment. And I think, as Dashima said beautifully, we can't always choose what happens to us. And of course, I would never have chosen that. However, we can always take our personal power back through our thoughtful response. So we do that by being present and facing the difficulty, and then using Jesse's message. So when I got back to the house after his murder, I found that he had left a message on our kitchen chalkboard. He had written 3 words shortly before he died: nurturing, healing, love. Now, they were phonetically spelled because he was in first grade and just learning to write. But I knew instantly, for one thing, I knew that if the shooter, who was a former student of Sandy Hook Elementary School, had the skills and tools to be able to give and receive nurturing, healing, love, the tragedy would never have happened. And that message actually translates, and those 3 words are in the definition of compassion across all cultures, and they translate into a powerful and profound formula that can lead you to taking your personal power back. We're talking about resilience. So when you're facing difficulty, can help you take your personal power back when you're facing any situation. And so it starts with courage, and then nurturing. Then it goes into Jesse's message. Nurturing means loving kindness and gratitude. And you've heard a lot of people talking about gratitude. Gratitude is so vitally important. You heard Kristen so beautifully talk about the get tos versus the have tos. If you ever find yourself in life saying, oh, I have to do this, realize that your have to is always somebody else's get to. And the bottom line is this, the way that we think, we have a negative bias, which I alluded to when I first spoke, and that is based on our survival instinct. So the cavemen, they focused on a saber-toothed tiger. We focus on negativity. And that's what we do. So we know through neuroscience that the majority of our thoughts every single day, on the best day, are negative and repetitive. And that's for our own survival. We focus on the negative. So it's just being aware of that. Now you're aware of it. And really, that's the biggest hurdle to being able to get over that. And how do you get over that negative bias that we all have? Through gratitude. You can only focus on one thought at a time. So you can only focus on a lower energy, fearful, frustrated, anxious, hateful thought, or a grateful thought. So whenever you want to shift your lens away from fear, negativity, think of something to be grateful for. Like Kristen said, that beautiful practice with the teapot. I love that. I'm going to use it. And then healing in Jesse's message means forgiveness, literally. And that was a huge part of my own healing and my ability to face what had happened was forgiving. And there's so much misunderstanding about forgiving, but forgiveness really is cutting the cord that attaches you to pain, taking your personal power back, not allowing someone else to control what you think that impacts how you feel, that then impacts how you behave. And then that gets you to nurturing, healing, love. And love is, and John had alluded to, compassion. Love is what I call compassion in action. So there's the identifying component. John's out in his bus, which I want to come on at some point. John's out on his bus, identifying someone's need, and then he is actively doing something to help ease that need. And when you look at the science of compassion, it's in that action component where all of the nurturing, healing love that you give out comes back to you. That's why he goes out at the end of the day, because it's healing, it's energizing, that action component. Service is that action component. Empathy and service equals compassion and action. And then when you put all that together, you have the courage to be grateful even when things aren't going your way, the courage to forgive even if the person who hurt you isn't sorry, and the courage to step outside of your own distraction, busyness, even your own pain and suffering to help another human being. Then you have chosen love. You've taken your personal power back, and you have also made the world a better place.
Thank you, Scarlett. Great techniques and steps towards building resilience there. Dashma, would you like to share some thoughts on that question?
Absolutely. The question, I feel she started by saying, do you become weaker when you go through the process of, or not weaker, but harder, I guess was the way it was worded, right? When you go through the process of, becoming more resilient or strengthening that. And I want to address that because I feel that there's a very fine balance between the perception of to become stronger and to become harder. And some people become harder when they become stronger because they're not really aware of what it means to be strong. So in my own personal journey, when I was a little girl, I was 7 years old. My mother lost her mind. She became schizophrenic. I was there that day. I was a part of that experience. And then I went through a whole early childhood of a lot of trauma, living in foster homes. But I got to live in all these different environments with many, many families. And it was a really interesting experience to be in so many different homes. And when I look back and the different things that I've experienced in my life, to become stronger did not make me harder. It actually made me softer inside, because it made my heart have a lot more compassion for humanity at large. And I was able to see that common thread, that we all suffer and that we all have, things that we're working through, and nobody's life is perfect. And there's, many different colors in the rainbow, but all of them are part of the big, beautiful rainbow of life. And to be able to have that empathy, that compassion inside towards all living beings. And also for me, also towards animals as well, like all beings, and to really feel that, it's actually a very powerful, unique mix of strength and softness. So the softness is that part of our soul and our heart that feels so deeply for the others suffering that we want to help them. And that's where service comes in. I've heard a lot, and thank you for everybody who's mentioned that today as well. What a beautiful word. I was just talking about this the other day, how the importance of being of service to others, and to take the focus from the me-centric, which is actually, I went to college and I studied culture. One of my degrees is in intercultural communication. And in the Western culture, specifically America, we are very what's called individualistic, which means it's all about me, me, me. And even like we put our elderly in the homes, and are like, oh, they're getting old, put them away. And in other cultures that are others focused, which is called collectivistic, where it's more about the us and not so much about the me, they bring the family all together. So it's like a different energy that we have towards others. And in the individualistic culture of the US and some other cultures around the world, it's like me, me, me. And that focus on the inside of like me is also what starts to spiral people down. And when we talk about resilience, and I loved what John said, and also a couple of people today have mentioned, that when you turn your energy outward and start to serve others, you start to feel better. It actually is such a important part of the process of being human, is to really take our energy and to give it, and to recognize the other is a mirror. We are all one. So you are me and I am you. So if I serve you, it actually serves me in a way that it builds my heart, it builds my strength, it makes me feel good. And I'm not just serving others to feel good, because that's a little selfish, but at the same time, if it benefits all, then it's not selfish. Then it's just part of the dance of life. And as we build that inner strength, it doesn't have to make us hard. In fact, it can make us soft. It can bring us together, it can make us more connected, because we have to have inner strength in order to serve. We have to have that inner strength in order to get up in the morning and feel that we have purpose, and to feel that we, are driven to do something today. And what she was just talking about with acting, to take action. It's depressing to not take action. That's what depression is where you just have no energy. And so therefore you do nothing. The opposite, the flip side of that is to take action, and to be coming from inspired action. So inspired action, it means it's coming from deep within. There's a fire burning within you, and it's lit up because you recognize that we are all interconnected. As I serve you, I serve me, and we all benefit from the action and the energy that I put forth today in this moment. My actions do matter. They do make a difference, and so do yours. And so that recognition of the oneness of existence and our humanity, that is our shared story in this journey of life on earth, is very compelling, inspiring reason to get up and serve and to offer whatever you can. So when you try to build yourself up, build this strength and build the resilience and the muscle of that, the important thing is also to continually go back to why am I here? Because if you don't feel any purpose of life, you don't know why you're here, there's always going to be this part of the journey that feels kind of pointless. It's like, what's the point, right? Instead, you flip the switch and you know the point, you know the purpose of your life. I'm here to serve. I'm here to bring joy to the world. I'm here to serve by bringing one plate of food to the homeless at a time, or whatever your purpose, because everybody has a unique, distinct, individual purpose. But whatever that is, once you connect to that, and then you allow that flame to be lit within, and then every day just keep fanning the flame by being of service, being in gratitude, and living from that place of deep reverence, which is appreciation for your life in this moment. And from that appreciation and the reverence and the service and the action, it starts to create a spiral upward. And that spiral is energy. And that spiral is passion. And that spiral is what I like to think of the strength of resilience. Because the strength of resilience, you don't think about like a muscle, like here's my resilience. It's an energy. And that strength of energy is no matter what storm comes along today or any time in my life, it will not knock me down. Because first of all, I've been through worse. Usually that helps, because if you've been through worse, you're like, I can weather this storm. I've been through a hurricane. Or if you haven't been through worse, batten down the hatches and know that that moment is strengthening you even to a whole nother level of the dimension of the possibility for your life. And as we grow in that strength, that resilience, that inner resolve that we are here for a purpose, and that every day we wake up, we put the tea kettle on, as she said, and we go through, I love the quote. It's like before enlightenment, chopping wood, hauling water. After enlightenment, chopping wood, hauling water. Life does not change after you become strong and powerful and purpose driven. The only thing that changes is you feel excited about it instead of feel it's a burden, right? So the burden of the chopping wood and hauling water turns into the excitement of the chopping wood and hauling water, because you recognize that this moment and the beautiful appreciation of everything that you have in this moment is the fuel that will continue to fan that flame of passion and purpose for life. So your resilient journey does not have to make you harder. It makes you stronger and softer, more compassionate, and more driven to be of service to others.
Thank you. Beautiful sharing, Dashma. Thank you so much. John, would you like to share?
Well, yes, briefly, my goodness. There's hardly much I can add to what's already been suggested here, and that sharing is, I've learned a lot by being on this panel this evening or this morning or wherever the time zone is that you're listening from. But, in my personal experience, again, life's full of adversity. The struggles that happen in life are sometimes they're just around the corner, and they present themselves at the most unexpected times, in the most unexpected ways. And I feel that it's about, simply a word, perspective. And adversity oftentimes is an opportunity for growth and an opportunity to, in many ways, reinvent yourself. So sometimes when we get in these places where we don't feel like that we can get up, or that we have to have an answer, I think life's full of mystery, and it should be. And in the absence of mystery, imagine what this existence would be like. It would be rather bland, vanilla in many ways. So when adversity comes, accept the situation and push forward. Pull yourself up when pulling yourself up doesn't feel like a possibility, and remind yourself that the sun will come up tomorrow and brighter days are ahead. I know that sounds overplayed, and it's not, but that adversity is an opportunity for reinvention.
Thank you, John. An opportunity for reinvention. I love that. Thank you. Kristen, would you like to share something on that question?
Sure. I think John just brought up a really important point, the point of perspective, what is true for John or for someone else may not be true for me in our navigation of resilience. And that's always important to keep in mind. But just speaking from my own experience around this idea or concept of hardening, is that resilience? And my sense, at least within my own being, is that if hardening is present, if that's the experience, it's not actually resilience. It's more of a presence of the expectation of resilience. Expectation. So many times we have expectations for ourselves to be these resilient beings, to have all the tools in our toolkit, to show up in this amazing way and just recuperate and bounce back. And we end up putting a lot of pressure on ourselves for our journey with resilience to look and feel and act out in a certain way. And this does create, I think, that sense of hardening. Really, we're trying to survive our own expectation of what resilience looks like. And resilience, if you think about trees in the storm, resilience is that ability to just bend and feel the presence of the load of the wind. Feel it. Go in and feel how is it affecting me, and move with it, right? So in our journey with resilience, it's so important to be deeply present to self. Resilience is a knowing. It's a deep knowing within that you are being impacted, that you are feeling that blast of wind, you are feeling that storm. You know it. You know it is there. And you also know that you were made for that moment and that you have everything you need to sway. And that you've swayed before and you will again. So I would say if you're feeling that hardening, love yourself first. Love is always the antidote, I think. Love yourself, accept yourself. And then go within and try to be as present as you can to whatever you're going through, and know that you can sway with this storm. And in that space, I think there will be, like Dashima was saying, this softening and this opening and this expansion into love and a remembering of our true potential, because we really are so able to handle just immense challenge in this life. The human existence is full of challenge. That is one thing I know 100% for each and every one of us. This existence is full of challenge, it's full of suffering, and it is also full of love and beauty and light and whatnot. So we have to be real and honest and authentic and present to all of these experiences that are going on within our inner landscape. And within that honesty with ourselves and that knowing comes this ability to just be present to the storm and sway. So thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. We're going to have a little short pause, not so much of a break, but just more of a transition, because it's been such an incredibly powerful and deeply moving session so far. So we're going to take a moment to just go a little bit deeper, and Dashima also has to leave, but she's going to take us into a meditation, and then before she leaves, and then from the meditation, we're going to have Kristen share us a song. Dashima, would you like to lead us all into a meditation?
Absolutely. Thank you so much. For anybody who's not familiar with meditation, I think of meditation as medicine for the mind. I started meditating many years ago. I've been teaching for 15 years, meditation and yoga. And I have a school, it's called Flow State Institute. So today, I'd like to do a special meditation for us all that would bring us into a field of love and oneness, that I like to call the flow, and that we can collectively, as a community, send that love and that compassion out to all living beings together. There is a science research that was done called the Maharishi effect that says when you bring together a certain number of people collectively with one common intention, that we can truly elevate the consciousness and the vibration of all beings on earth. So that is part of my mission of life. And together today, we can be a part of that, raising the vibration of humanity, starting with ourselves, and then radiating that energy outwards. So just starting in a comfortable position, sitting up nice and straight, crown of the head lifted, shoulders back. We'll start by close your eyes and take a deep breath into your heart and all the way down to your belly. And you could even place one hand on your heart, one hand on your belly. Deep breath in. And exhale, we're going to exhale out of the mouth. 3 times, let's do this. Inhale. And as you exhale, drop deeper and deeper into this present moment. Inhale. And exhale. 2 more like this. Inhale. And exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Now on your next inhale, we're going to inhale the breath into the heart and expand the heart as wide as you can, filling it with as much air as you can, and we'll hold the breath for as long as you can. And you start to feel the heart muscles, the myocardial sheath around the heart, stretching. We're going to stretch your capacity to love today. So inhale deeply, as much air as you can bring in. Inhale. Now hold the breath, relax the shoulders. Hands over the heart. Feel your heartbeat, connect to the heartbeat of the universe. And then exhale, release. Okay, we're going to do that 2 more times. This breath starts to elevate your vibration. You're going to feel more connected to your higher self and to the universe and to the source of life. Inhale deeply. Hold the breath, relax the shoulders. Feel your heart coming alive. Exhale. 1 more time together now. Inhale. Hold the breath, relax the shoulders. And exhale. Now just breathing normally, sitting up nice and straight, closing the eyes. Draw your awareness to your heart center. You're going to visualize a bright white light entering the heart center, filling your heart with this amazing, radiant light, the light of 1,000 suns inside of you. And start to feel, as you bring a smile to your face, start to feel a deep sense of appreciation for this moment. And think of one thing in your life right now that you are so overwhelmingly grateful for, that it brings such joy into your heart. It could be a person, it could be an experience, it could be anything in life. Just bring that joy into your heart right now. Feel it deeply in every cell of your body, the experience of appreciation dancing with the energy of joy inside of your heart, and see how big that smile on your face can grow to. And with this appreciation and joy, now start to feel the energy from your heart radiating outward until you create a field of love and joy around you. This field of love and joy is like the radiance and the light and the power of 1,000 suns radiating from within your heart. And you feel your whole body filled with warmth and light and joy and love, and now dropping deeper into a sense of compassion for all beings everywhere in the world who may be suffering right now. The children who don't have a home or food to eat or clean water to drink. The people in the hospitals affected by COVID. The families who have experienced loss from the pandemic. The animals in the plant kingdom who is affected by the global climate change. Feel that as a part of you. You are a part of everything. All is interconnected. So sending that love and compassion out to all beings and the planet right now essentially completes the loop as it comes directly back into your own body, into your own heart, and filling every cell of your body with this light of compassion and love. If you feel tingle in your body, you feel the truth of the interconnectedness between yourself and all that exists. And that interconnectedness, that unity, that oneness of existence is our continuous reminder to be of service to the world in any way possible today and moving forward. Even if that act of service is purely walking through life with a smile so that you may be a ray of light in someone's day. Or you could take it even in a broader perspective and serve your community, serve whatever you feel drawn to serve, but be a contributor in this world. And through that act of giving, and that generosity of compassion, your own life will take on a whole new dimension of purpose and meaning and alignment with the source of life and God within you. And from that amazing sense of purpose, that deep, deep connection to gratitude and compassion, your life will take on a whole new trajectory from here forward. Make the commitment in your heart right now to rise above any adversity that should come your way. And remember, you are infinitely loved and supported at all times. An army of angels surrounds you. All your ancestors are always with you. You are never alone. You are loved. You are love. You are the embodiment of God's great love. So today and every day, remember that. Remember the truth of who you are. Place both hands over your heart and take a deep breath. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. And then placing one hand over your belly and anchoring it in to the physical world, into this moment. So you can always remember whenever adversity comes your way, as it inevitably always will in life, this is a reference point. Anchor it in to your consciousness so you have a moment to go back to that strength, that light, that resolve, that compassion, that courage, that determination to be a contributor, be of service to the world, and that your life matters. You came here for a purpose. And you are loved and supported by the infinite, eternal source of life at all times. When you're ready, you can come back to the room, open your eyes. Thank you, everyone who's been a part of this today. I'm grateful to be here. And for everyone who shared, thank you for your life. Thank you for your light and your courage and your beauty and your magic. The world needs you. So thank you for showing up. I love you. Satnam. Namaste.
Thank you, Dashma. Such an honor and pleasure to have you join us for the Pulse today. And we'll now hear from Kristen.
I'm going to share a song called Falling. And this song is about walking up to the edge of your metaphorical cliff that I know we've all walked to so many times before, each and every one of us, where we look over and we say, oh, I want to trust in this journey of life. I want to trust in my highest love, in my light. I want to trust in the mystery, as John said before, of life. And you feel like, oh, let me just take that leap into the journey fully, that leap into love. But we just walk back so many times. We look over and then we walk back. And this song is about, oh, and one thing I wanted to say, so many times we are the ones who are selfish with ourselves. We don't allow our own selves to be resilient. We don't allow our own selves to take that leap into something new, into a higher evolution of who we are. I think it's just a natural part of our makeup. But this song is like a conversation with your higher self, with divine, whatever you want to call it. And it just says, will you catch me when I'm falling down in your love, the greatest sacrifice of this selfish heart? So just feel like you're leaping, feel like you're in love on the highest level as you listen. Mysterious fire, you came to me unexpected. Darkened by grace, light by your touch, I grabbed you hard. Will you catch me when I'm falling down in your love? It will be the greatest sacrifice of this selfish heart. Mysterious fire, you burn in me. You make me want. I taste desire, I know your face, but I look to catch me when I'm falling down in your love. It will be the greatest your love. It will be the greatest sacrifice of this selfish heart. No veil of fear can hide me. All of my life, hoping to find myself in you. Will you catch me when I'm falling down in your love? Will you catch me when I'm falling down in your love? Will you catch me when I'm falling? I'm falling, falling. When I'm falling,
Wow. Thank you so much, Kristen, for opening our hearts so deeply. We've come to the end of another incredible Pulse session for this month. We want to thank our beautiful global audience for joining us today from all around the world. So grateful to have you all here with us. And thank you, our guest presenters, for being here. And I'd just like to invite each of you to share, if you want to share some closing comments. We're just going to go around and share a few words, and then we're going to end with Kristen taking us out for another song. Scarlett, would you like to share some words?
Well, I know I'm going to say what John said, that I've learned so much tonight from all of the other speakers, and I'm so honored to be here. I think that it's just important to remember that we all face difficulty, and that our experiences that we've had before have strengthened us to be able to handle what is going on right now. I always try to feel so much gratitude for my body. I think about, gosh, body, you have stood with me and my mind and my spirit through everything that I've been through all the way up until now. I know that each episode, each difficulty has strengthened me to be able to handle the next. And so I'm here in front of you and ready for what's coming. I thought about a little something that John said. I wanted to share just a little story. He was talking about being in his stall and having people go by to the artist next door. And I know I had written a children's book, and right before Jesse died, I brought him to this festival, and we were in this tent, and we were selling my children's book, and everybody was walking by, and they may come and they may have looked at it and smiled, but then they would walk by. And I said, all right, Jesse, it's okay. we're just here and we're together and we're having a good time. We don't necessarily have to sell books. And unbeknownst to me, he had taken the top of the bin and he had written last call, COLL, for books, BUUKS. And he had walked around in front going, come and buy my mom's books. What's wrong with you? Come over here, buy my mom's books. Last call. We're going to. So I wanted to share that because I think that that difficulty takes a little bit more patience than that. And acceptance of where we are, not railing against where we are, but accepting it and having faith that we're capable of handling what's in front of us, and that we will get through it, and that there's a reason and purpose in everything. I firmly believe that. I know even my own tragedy with my losing my son in a school shooting, I see what has come of that loss. Because of that loss, we've been able to save so many others, transform and save children all over the world. So in a way, I'm even grateful for the experience, so that I was able to serve like that. And so I just want to thank everybody for having the courage to show up tonight, to ask those amazing questions, and to sit and learn and grow with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Scarlett. John, would you like to share some closing words?
Yes, Chris and Scarlett, thank you for just allowing me to share some time this evening with you tonight. You're a great source of more than quiet strength. A remarkable woman, and thank you. And I've learned a lot tonight as well. And and you shared, a story about resilience, your resilience to overcome the loss of your son and bring meaning to that loss. And in what I do out on the street, I don't expect anyone to know, where did that come from? And I'll briefly share that quickly. I've been immersed in the art world for a long while, for several decades. And I lost a friend out on the streets, or to the streets, I should say. And it was addiction that took his life. I'd met this man and only known him as a sober individual. And by the way we measure success in society, he had every success. A business, a home, a family, was a brother, a son, a husband, a father. But addiction has this nasty way of not really, it doesn't have a bias against socioeconomic status. And he fell prey to the addiction. And after a relapse, his fall was, his elevator ride to the bottom was fast. It was a free fall. And I don't want to monopolize or extend, too much time here. But what I would share with you through Bob's loss, I used initially art in taking photographs of people on the street as a way to pay honor to his memory, and at the same time give a voice then to those that are marginalized and living, those that are underserved. The work that I do on the street was an organic outcropping of what I thought was going to be simply an exhibition in photography called I Have a Name. The first man I asked that I stopped to speak to on the street and shared that I was working on a project for people in need as an effort to provide meaning to a friend's life. I asked if I could photograph this man and collect his story, and he said, yes, I'm homeless. I'm in need. You can take my photograph. And I realized I hadn't properly introduced myself, and I said, forgive me, my name is John. What is your name? And he wept. And in that moment, in that instance, this project that I was working on became I Have a Name. He had said, and I wept, and he had said, you have no idea how long it's been since somebody's cared to ask me who I am. I'm wandering a bit, and I'm not sure where this is going, other than their life is full of these great mysteries, and sometimes we really don't know what's just ahead of us, and it's really about just taking action. This was a project that I talked about doing for many years after Bob's death. And I remember sitting in a studio in Santa Fe, New Mexico with another artist friend of mine. And I, had mentioned that I thought I would use art as an instrument, and that I could probably publish a book and maybe have a modest little exhibition in photography. And he said, yeah, you've been talking about that for 5 years, go do something. So it's in that action, isn't it? That we can move forward and move ahead. And I think with that, I'll close. It's what we spoke about earlier tonight. We can get mired and wallowed down in self-pity, and it's really in pulling ourselves up and moving forward that we can find purpose and meaning for ourselves and for others. And I want to thank you for allowing me to participate tonight.
Mm-hmm. Thank you so much, John. It's been a great pleasure having you here. And just the depth of your heart is so deep, and your work is amazing and profound. So thank you so much for sharing and being with us today. Kristen, would you like to share some closing words?
Sure. As John was just speaking, I was feeling some kind of sentence in my mind, like, we're not alone in our resilience, that it really is not an alone experience. It's not just up to us. I have a song that I'm not going to play it now, but I have a song called Lay Down Your Light, and it's about helping each other to be resilient and guiding each other through life by laying down a path of light and actually searching out people who need help and need that reminder of their own inner resilience. So laying down that path of light, sending out our searchlight into the night to find someone who's lost, and then laying down that path of light so that they can find their way out of that darkness. And then also just trusting in that mystery of life and knowing within ourselves that if you are lost right now, if you are feeling totally lost at this moment, just simply take this simple step of open your heart. We're here all together right now, but just in this moment, just ever so gently feel yourself just open your heart to the possibility of your own inner resilience. And know that just in that opening, that somebody is waiting to shine that light for you. It really does. It's just an agreement. It takes our willingness to just open to it. And in that simple step, we begin the dialogue of resilience. So that's just all I need to say. I'm going to play a song about resilience. It kind of has a Celtic feel to it. And it just says, when the wind blows, just stay grounded. Root yourself. And hold love in your heart. And you will weather the storm. Here we go. Thank you so much to all who shared tonight. It was so beautiful, so deep. Thank you, Scarlett, John, Dashima, Chris. I'm so grateful for being a part of this incredibly profound discussion, and all of you who tuned in. Thank you. Okay. I'm going to do a little improv-y thing at the very end, and I'm going to call it the Resilient Chorus. wind blows, hold fast your dreams. Moments feel eternity. One bright morning you will see the spring, a new beginning. And hold my love deep in your heart, wherever the road may take you. And hold my love deep in your heart, wherever the road may take you. When the wind blows, hold fast, my love. We'll carry you to skies above, where moonbeams call to guide your way. A bright new beginning. And hold my love deep in your heart, wherever the road may take you. And hold my love deep in your heart, wherever darkness. Oh, that love. Let it guide your way tonight. Let it guide your way tonight. Let it guide your way tonight. Let it guide your way tonight.
Thank you so much, Kristen. Wow,
Thank you.
such a profound song, so deeply moving. Wow. Wow. So I want to thank all our guests today for joining us. It's been a great privilege and honor to be with you all, sharing so deeply. And thank you to the global audience for showing up today, and for everyone who submitted questions. I'm so sorry we couldn't, of course, answer everyone's questions, but it was great to have you all with us. And for those of you who would like to see this session again, please check the website out at upliftconnect.com, and we'll have the archive up. And better still, if you're on our email list or you're not on our email list, please join up, and we'll send an email out this week letting everybody know that the archive is ready. And we'll also be sharing links to all the presenters' personal websites, and so you can check out the incredible work that everybody's doing. And Uplift is an incredible community of people all around the world that you're part of as well. And we'd like to invite you all to please keep connected with us. Please sign up and keep connected, and we'll have more of these sessions once a month, The Pulse, and we have incredible articles and films and stories all through the year that you can connect with. And we like to say you can connect with love in action, and you can connect with the frequency of the field, we call it, because we're all part of the field. We're all part of this great energetic space. And we invite you to come and play with us and dance with us and share with us. And we love you all. Thank you so much. Thank you.